build. Then God will build this world from love. Olam chesed, Olam chesed yibaneh. Olam chesed yibaneh. Olam chesed yibaneh. Olam chesed
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi Hayon.
Really
How are
glad
you
to see
tonight?
you. I'm well, thank you. I'm glad that everyone is with us this evening, joining from all the different places you're joining. Thanks to those of you who've taken a second already to chime in on the Facebook live chat to let us know that you're here, let us know where you're watching from. We're so happy that you are with us this evening. We hope that your week has had lots of opportunities for reflection and replenishment. It has been a week for all of us with many ups and downs, but I'm really glad that we are all together this evening. A reminder that this evening you'll be able to follow along with our service through the images of the prayer book pages that we'll put up on the screen. If you've not had a chance yet to tell us that you're here and chime in on the Facebook live chat, please do so now. Today we're coming to the end of our Chag day, our festival day, celebrating the festival of Shavuot, which, as we know, is the commemoration, the celebration of the Jewish peoples receiving Torah at Sinai. And in the same way, Shavuot celebrates the beginning of our people's life as a community of learners. And so, in keeping with that theme, the Cantor and I want to invite you to do some thinking tonight about those who have taught you. Take a minute and think about who in your life was a teacher you loved and cherished, somebody who changed your relationship with the world or with the field in which you've worked. Take a second and think about which teachers have touched your life. In a moment, we'll be inviting you to chime in on the Facebook chat and tell us a little bit about who your favorite teacher was and who and how that teacher changed your life. And so with that in mind, we're going to continue now with the welcoming of Shabbat by lighting our Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. A little drafty right here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi. So we are going to continue to welcome Shabbat with this psalm, and can be found in your book on page 12, I believe. And these words: "Let us sing a song to Adonai as we welcome in Shabbat." we continue welcoming Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. Lecha, Lecha Dodi, Likrat, Likrat Kala, Penei, Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha, Lecha Dodi, Likrat, Likrat Kala, Penei, Penei Shabbat Nekabela. La, la. Lecha, Lecha Dodi, Likrat, Likrat Kala, Penei, Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha, Lecha Dodi, Likrat, Likrat Kala, Penei, Penei Shabbat Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el ha'michad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, V'shemo tiferet v'riti la 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 lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, la 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 lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri uri shir dabiri, kivod Adonai alayich nigla la 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 lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we welcome in the Shabbat bride. If you want to face the entrance of the room you are in. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam v'simcha v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala, la 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 lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, Likrat likrat kala, Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Penei penei Shabbat nekabela.
Having now welcomed Shabbat, having welcomed this holy day with candles and blessings, and with our invitation to the Sabbath bride to make her way into our homes and into our hearts, it's time for us to welcome each other into this moment of prayer and community. And so we'll continue now with Baruch Hu, which, if you're following along in a book at home, can be found on page 28.
Yai
Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhma poteach she'arim, uvitvona mishane eitim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil ben yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El Chavakayam, Tamid Yimloch Alenu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Ata Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
We continue with Ahavat Olam on page 32, words that remind us we feel God's love through our Torah, through our learning, and in the way we live our lives by our Jewish values. You may be seated as we continue with Ve'ahavta, which can be found on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isha'arecha Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kiroshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Friends, once again, as we are reaching the end of this day and so the end of Shavuot, we have made it as a Jewish people. We've made it to Sinai once again to receive that encounter with God as teacher. And so once more, I want to invite you to take a second now to reflect in the Facebook Live chat and share with us who was the best teacher you ever had. Take a second and think about who that person was, what teacher changed your life and why and how. Do they know that they touched you the way that they did? And what was it about their role in your life that changed you? Take a second and think about who the best teacher was you ever had. We'd love to have you share your memories and the special relationship you had with that teacher in the Facebook chat. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. Let's hear these words set to song.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught. Before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it's eternal Egypt. That there's a better place, a promised land, and the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, singing yai hanai, yai hai hai hai, yai hanai hanai, yai hai hai hanai, yai hai hai hai, yai hanai hanai. Sing that with me once. And as we move into Micha Mocha, I wanted to share with you this melody that we actually sang this morning for our Shavuot service. When we reach the festivals, I go back into my cantorial troves and I rediscover these melodies, and sometimes they just bring me such joy. So I wanted to share this Micha Mocha with you.
We continue now with Vishamru, the hymn that celebrates and expresses our gratitude for the gift of Shabbat that comes every week, giving us a chance to refuel and recharge. The last line of that hymn reminds us of the biblical accounts of creation, when after 6 days of doing the hard work of creating, God took the seventh day to rest. Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash, it says. That Hebrew word vayinafash, which is translated as God was refreshed or God was renewed, vayinafash is connected to the Hebrew word nefesh, which means our soul. So when we've had a really refreshing Shabbat, when we've had the experience of a Shabbat that really replenishes us, it is as if we feel our souls filled up anew inside of us. So I hope that this Shabbat is a time of re-souling for all of us, and we feel that eternal spark inside of us begin to glow once more as we take a few good deep breaths and make our way into a calm and refreshing Shabbat.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We now continue with our Amidah, so I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we continue with our Amidah, which can be found in the book on page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, gomel chasadim tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us, For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulacha Na'eh Lehodot.
Continue with our prayer for peace. Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. B'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rav Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. You may be seated. We continue now with a moment of silent prayer. Adonai Turi B'Goali. May the words of my mouth, and the meditations of my heart, be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yiratzon imrifi Be'egyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Adonai tzuri ve'goali.
We're going to take a moment now to offer a prayer of healing, as we do each time we gather together virtually. so that we can take just a second to think about the members of our community, our congregation, our families, and our nation who on this Shabbat are in need of healing. Tonight we are offering prayers in the name of and on behalf of David Askenaz, Bradley Borden, Melba Berman, Jennifer Carey, Emily Caulfield, Michelle Cohen, Miles Cohn, David Kottner, Tracy Crane, Maya Crater, Miranda Evans, Roseanne Finkel, Jerry Hooks, Sarah James, Vicky Yonda, Lawrence Levy, Velma Lingo, Nakia Martin, Melinda Scholar, Angelica Taylor, Marcia Tushita, Roger Williams, Chaim Lebish Velvo Ben Sheva, Gelka Nechama Batli Bachaya, and all of those who on this Shabbat are suffering with physical illness, emotional distress, and pain.
Tonight we will sing a new melody for our prayer for healing. This setting by Todd Herzog uses the words of Torah from a spot in the Torah that we will read in just a couple of weeks. Moses has seen that his sister Miriam is sick. She is struggling, and he cries out, El na refana la, O God, please heal her. I invite you to echo me on the verses, but let's begin with the chorus. El na
Friends, I want to share with you a few brief announcements before we do a little bit of learning together tonight. I'm very, very excited that this year our beloved teacher and rabbi, Rabbi Walter, celebrates the 50th anniversary of his rabbinical ordination and the 50 years of his service to the Jewish world, to the Jewish people, and of course to our congregation. So we are preparing for a full slate of events to celebrate this big anniversary for and with Rabbi Walter, starting with next Friday night, 6 p.m. during a Shabbat service that will include a message from Rabbi Bob Lowy, former associate rabbi here at Emanu and dear friend to our congregation. Other activities for Rabbi Walter's big anniversary weekend will include a 9:15 Shabbat morning study session that will be open to all, and a 7 p.m. presentation on Sunday that we're calling Rabbi to Rabbi. This will be an opportunity for Rabbi Walter to reflect back on 50 years in the rabbinate and at Emmanuel in conversation with me. So I feel very excited and very, very lucky to get to share that with Rabbi Walter. Also, I want to talk to you about something else next week, which is a special Pajama Havdalah program with Cantor Simmons and with her friend and co-conspirator Ellen Allard. Ellen is extraordinary. If you've not had a chance to hear or sing with or watch her before, please make a point of joining that program with your kids. You will not regret or forget that experience. So that's next Saturday, 5 p.m. There's more information about all of this in our website and other synagogue communications. And lastly, as always, our clergy team is here for you. If you need some support or a helping hand, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know how we can be helpful. And now, friends, I want to invite you with me to do a little bit of learning about our Torah portion this week. This Shabbat, our reading of the book of Numbers continues with a variation on a theme that the Torah took up last week, and that is the census of the Israelite nation, in which Moses and Aaron, under instruction from God, meticulously catalog the tribes of Israel, their patriarchs and their chieftains. And now this week, following immediately after that long list of people's names and numbers, the Torah presents us with instead a list of objects, the equipment and accessories that are used to erect the wilderness tabernacle. The text lists all of the hardware used to assemble and disassemble the tent of meeting as the Israelites wandered through the desert, and God commands Moses about them in detail. Here's what God says: "The planks, the bars, the posts, and the sockets of the tabernacle, the sockets, pegs, and cords, all the furnishings and fittings, you shall list by name these objects that are assigned to be carried." I'll say that once again. What God tells Moses: you shall list by name the objects that are assigned to be carried. Now, the traditional understanding of this commandment is that Moses was being directed to write an inventory, a bill of goods that would be consulted and double-checked each time the Israelites set out for a new destination on their journey to make sure that they hadn't left behind any critical pieces of equipment. Now, that was the conventional way that this verse was read, but in the 13th century, it was interpreted in a new way by the great Rabbi Nachmanides, a mystic and philosopher from northeastern Spain. When Nachmanides encounters that verse, "You shall list by name these objects that are assigned to be carried," he had a different take on what the words meant. Nachmanides suggests that the traditional reading of that verse cannot be correct, and instead what it means is that when Moses was instructed by God to list by name the objects to be carried, he was instead to create a list of men's names, the lists of those people who were assigned to carry each one. This man will carry 2 planks of wood. That man will carry 6 tent pegs, and so on. Nachmanides teaches that the purpose of the list is not to keep track of the sacred inventory from the tabernacle. It had a different purpose. Because so much of the equipment was heavy and cumbersome, Moses wanted to make sure that each person's responsibility was written down and verified, lest one of them shirk the responsibility of carrying something heavy and opt instead to pick up a lighter burden that was easier to handle. Every week before Shabbat arrives, our clergy team gets together to have what we hope is a high-level conversation about these worship services, about what we want them to feel like, what kind of mood we'll try to create, what sorts of music will help achieve our spiritual purposes in what ways, and so on. So when I had this conversation with Cantor Simmons earlier this week about tonight's service, I told her that I just wanted this Friday night to feel light and joyful and easy. Because all of us have been through so much during so many hard days, so many encounters with pessimism, with fear and hopelessness. I just wanted to connect with all of you and share a bit of happiness for a change. But then, in the last few days, as I watched the news continue to roll in, another African American dead, another white policeman charged, more burning buildings consumed by the flames of racism and violence, it became clear that I wasn't ready to be joyful just yet, after all. Although we have the choice to choose joy every day and at all times, we have the privilege to change the channel and focus on what is positive, and very often we take that choice because it feels better that way. But that is the moral infraction that Nachmanides taught us about with his reading of that verse from the book of Numbers. That ancient Israelite who knew that his job was to carry the heaviest beam, but chose instead to pick up a few wooden pegs or a handful of linen cords. He picked up the lighter burden, even though he was obligated by conscience and by God not to do so, because it didn't hurt as much to carry. He didn't want anyone else to see him as shiftless or lazy. He wasn't so brazen as to go empty-handed altogether. He wanted a plausible excuse in case anyone looked sideways at him, so he could say, "Look, I'm helping. I'm carrying something too." But he chose instead to carry the lighter load. And with that choice, he forced others to carry his share. And so, even though it's heavy, even though it's uncomfortable and painful, I think we need to talk about what's happening in America. We need to talk about the experience of Black and brown Americans. We need to talk about what's happening tonight in Minneapolis and what's happened in South Georgia and Louisville, Kentucky, and Midland, Texas, and Central Park just in the last few days. It is uncomfortable, but we need to help carry that burden because we are Jews. We are people of conscience, and we need to help lift it up. But it is heavy. It's heavy, I know, for all of us white Jews in particular, who may have watched that terrible video of George Floyd gasping for breath, or who may have been unable to avoid the video of Ahmaud Arbery collapsing with a bullet in his back. What is the right moral response to these deaths? What is the Jewish response? How are we supposed to feel about the eruption of rage that is continuing again tonight and that follows every time this macabre cycle starts back up again? How should we Jews react when we read another story about another Black life imperiled or cut off prematurely? Another community of color suffering from medical negligence or inadequate civil infrastructure, another piece of legislation that will disproportionately impact our Black and brown neighbors. What should we think? And what should we do? Now, I want to acknowledge that the way we white Jews answer that question is unique because, as I don't have to tell you, we white Jews are targeted by bigotry and hatred as well. I want to share a story with you that happened just this week. A couple of days ago, I heard from friends in Minneapolis who were on their way out to join the protests against racism and violence. They were on their way spurred by their Jewish conscience to speak up for justice. And on their way to their local protest, they got a call notifying them that swastikas and neo-Nazi slogans had just been discovered painted outside their synagogue. At that moment, the Jewish dilemma that all of us face was made real in a pointed and unavoidable new way. It was pointed out what it means for us to be caught in that pincer grip, obligated to speak up against racism, but also painfully aware of our own vulnerability, our own position in which we are susceptible to the perverse and violent whim of bigoted trolls. But our suffering, our struggles don't excuse us from the obligation to stand with others. Precisely the opposite. Our experience, our Jewish history of pain and bigotry is the thing that obligates us to fight racism so that we can be there wholeheartedly alongside others who struggle. So for us, white Jews, for those of us caught in this uncomfortable intersection between our own suffering and that of others, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to go back to that verse from the book of Numbers that reminds us that our job is to lift up and to carry the burdens that God has assigned to us. We just have to determine which is the light burden and which is the heavy. What's the easy way out? What's the way that we convince ourselves that we're doing something meaningful about racism in America so we can sleep peacefully at night? And what's the hard thing to do? The one we cannot evade, though, because it is, in the end, the right thing. Because let's be honest, the decision to oppose racism is not in itself an especially courageous or significant one. But there are ways to act upon that decision that are meaningful and substantive and weighty. And there are ways of performing it in symbolic gestures that are light and ultimately empty. Our obligation as Jews is not just to oppose racism theoretically, on principle. Our obligation is to denounce and dismantle it. And that takes work. Real work, hard work, heavy work that is painful and embarrassing and uncomfortable. It's the kind of work that demands that all of us start with ourselves first. And I want to invite you again to join me in that uncomfortable but necessary work, because those are the gestures that are meaningful and substantive. Those are methods of doing this work that do not expect that we receive credit or acknowledgement from people of color. Those are ways that realize that we don't need affirmation or adulation for how kind and progressive we are, to admit about ourselves, and I will start, that I've done things I shouldn't have done. And I have failed to do the things I should have done. I have laughed at jokes that were aimed to hurt. I have failed to listen closely to the pain of others. I have resisted and I have rejected the chance to think critically about race and racism for years. I'll tell you, as your rabbi, as your neighbor, and as your partner, I'm trying at this work a lot, and I am not good at it very often at all. I hate seeing the ways that I have failed. I hate acknowledging my shortcomings. I hate the way that shame feels. I hate being embarrassed when I look back and remember the ways that I have acted inappropriately or cowardly in the past. I hate it. But I'm trying patiently to continue doing the work of taking responsibility for those feelings and processing them, to keep listening more than I am talking. And I'm very fortunate and very grateful that I have many resources at my disposal in this work, and so do you. We have extensive material for all of us to read so that we can educate ourselves. Incredible resources from the Union for Reform Judaism, from our Central Conference of American Rabbis, from the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, policy statements and reading lists and discussion guides, films and short videos to watch, action items to get ourselves involved with, and so on and so on. In fact, the list of resources and the reading list that I posted on the Emanu website a year and a half ago is still there. waiting and begging for you to explore it. I want to encourage you again to explore it. The link is emmanuelhouston.org/resources for exploration. We'll post that link along with some others when we repost these remarks from tonight, so you can have a chance to explore those resources at your convenience. And another resource for which I'm grateful is our community organizing core team, an extraordinary group of volunteers who, under the leadership of Rabbi Fixler and Rabbi David Siegel, have begun convening conversations and planning real substantive work about racial justice, the ways that we can bring this work first to ourselves, then to our congregation before we go out into the community. This is critical as a part of our campaign to make our community more fair and more just. We have to start by educating ourselves. And I want to invite you to join me as I keep getting it wrong and keep trying again so that I can learn and get better one step at a time each day. The book of Numbers tells us to list by name the objects that are assigned to be carried. That reminds us that the first step in making things better is to identify what needs to be named, what needs to be identified, what needs to be claimed as ours to lift up and hoist onto our back, as heavy and uncomfortable as it may be. And Nachmanides taught us that it's not a sin to want to shirk the heavier load. It is, after all, heavier and uncomfortable. It is a sin to refuse to carry it, because carrying that burden is what we do in the service of the holy. We have our work cut out for us already. It is now time for us to sit down and do it. The events of these recent days call out to us urgently. It is our job, as people of conscience, as Jews heir to an ethical tradition, to carry this burden, not despite, but because it is heavy, and because it is ours. Shabbat Shalom. Friends, from the work we have to do to look forward, we take just a moment now to look back, to do the sacred work of memory and grieving and mourning, as we do every time we are together, because this too is sacred work, and it is work that we have to do in partnership with each other. And so as we prepare for Kaddish, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones and those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We take just a moment quietly to think of our loved ones and reflect. And now, friends, we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, and those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. On this Shabbat, our hearts go out in sadness and sympathy to the family of Clara Cook, who was laid to rest in recent days. To her name we add these, the names of those whose yahrzeits we remember on this Shabbat. Together we remember Shirley Alter, Jack Alter, Gerald Boehm, Isidore Barron, Hattie Benderoff, Pauline Burkut, Alan Berg, Dorothy Berger, Marvin Berman, Herman Birnbaum, Helen Blumberg, Edith Wilson Brittain, Ida Brooks, Marion Brush, Adele Siegel Bushman, Charles Burston, Frida R. Carr, Benjamin Choricer, Theodore Elliott Cohn, Isaac Cuquier, Abe Daly, Rebecca David, Akiba Davis, Arlene Rogan Dennis, Adele Gardner Don, C. Farduson Jr., Max Epstein, Bernard Farfel, Harry Feder, Sam Feld, Helen Feldman, Harry Fishbein, Samuel Edward Fox, Sam Fractor, Pearl Freed, Charlie Friedman Friend, Reuben Gilden, Harry Golden, Shirley Ruth Goldfarb, Helen Feder Gordon, Bernice Greenblatt, Annette Bromberg Greenfield, Ruth R. Grenader, Suzanne Hauser, Jack Samuel Helfman, Ray K. Hendler, Howard Hengst, Cecilia Herzog, Sadie Rose B.B. Hess, Charles Chuck Joe Hibbler, Maureen L. Howard, Reuben Jacobson, Morris Kagan, Rachel Kaminsky, Harry Wolf Camion, Helen Bell Kapeloff, Norman Kaplan, Leo S. Kaplan, Ida G. Cater, Bertha Weiss Kaufman, Jenna Michelle Kleiman, James Knox, Joseph Philip Cost, Sam Krantz, Elliot Krasnow, Rose Krautkopf, Roberta Leiston, Morris Lerner, Joseph J. Levin, Abraham Levine, Harold I. Levine, Joseph Lozer Jr., Nathan R. Lohman, Ann Fellmeyerson, Martin Marcus, Abe Marks, Esther Molaski, Sam Z. Miller, Faye Nathanson, Jack Palmer, Helen Perlman, Benjamin Pesikoff, Leonard Pesses, Barry Allen Pravada, Grace Rose Reich, Gloria Robb, Fanny Robbins, Leon Robbins, Samuel Rosenberg, Rebecca D. Rosenthal, Howard Ruback, Mildred Rudolph, Vera Fischel Rush, Bagador Sadikhov, Nathan Salzberg, Frida Sazin, Leo Schlamy, Mabel Schwartzfeld, Alex Siegel, Aaron Siegel, Hyman E. Siegel, Joseph Selden, Louise Landa Seligman, Ray Scheinberg, Milton T. Silverman, Eugene Hugh Smith, Robert Weinberger, Leon Weiss, and Meyer Berzef. The memories of all of them are with us as we take a moment to rise for the recitation of Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam l'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemed kudsha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Hoseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. We continue now with Kiddush and Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'masei v'reishit, ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, באותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
All right, Rabbi, you know what? I have a really special challah over here.
I want to see.
It's an Israeli recipe that David baked up today with nigella seeds, which I don't even know what those are, and I think turmeric, and there's like labne in it.
Wow.
So
okay,
that's amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Interesting. Very flavorful. We conclude tonight with the music we began with, this prayer for love, building a world of love together.
Almighty God, we call you the Ose Shalom, the one who makes peace. Peace in places far beyond us as a model for what we might hope to experience here on earth. And so, O God, on this Shabbat we ask for peace, true, enduring, meaningful peace for all, that we and our children may know it, and that all of us may endure in safety and in goodness and in life. Amen.
I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.